It was an electric morning at the sprawling industrial campus of Alaris Industries, where steel towers reached for the hazy sky and the hum of machinery was as constant as the heartbeat of the city. In a forgotten corner of the factory, a dimly lit, labyrinthine maintenance area, a janitor named Leroy swept the floor with quiet dignity. Although his life had been far from easy and the world's eyes rarely lingered on his quiet existence, there was always a flicker of hope in Leroy's eyes. That hope was fanned by his daughter, Keisha, whose exceptional mind held secrets that even she herself often hesitated to acknowledge. Keisha's passion for mechanics had grown from evenings spent helping her father clean up after long working hours. While Leroy quietly recounted tales of his own youth, when ingenuity and determination were his lifelong companions, Keisha discovered that the vast language of engines and gears had its own unique poetry. Every bolt, every spark spoke to her of a world where problems were puzzles waiting to be solved. Even as a young girl among predominantly skeptical peers, Keisha's uncanny knack for deciphering the unseen mechanisms of the old engines proved she was destined for something wider than the narrow corridors of her father's shift. Yet, the industry's harsh hierarchies had never allowed people of her background to show their true worth. Halfway across the building, high above the bustling corridors and gleaming conference rooms, sat the CEO's opulent office. Here, Mr. Harold Sterling, a man whose crisp, tailored suits and icy stare had become the embodiment of corporate success, ruled over Alaris Industries with an iron will and a visionary ambition. Sterling had built his reputation by pushing the boundaries of modern technology and forcing his competitors to scramble in his wake. However, his relentless pursuit of perfection sometimes crossed the line into the realm of arrogance. Over the years, Sterling had commissioned breakthrough innovations, turning dreams into a series of impossible challenges that his engineers had to meet. What had started as an otherwise conventional pursuit of industrial glory had slowly morphed into an exhilarating, albeit treacherous game in which only the brilliant dared to participate. On one rain-spattered afternoon, when the engines in his vast facility were rumored to be causing inexplicable disturbances, Sterling was presented with an engineering conundrum that defied conventional explanation. A colossal and intricate engine, central to the company's brand-new prototype, had ceased functioning under mysterious circumstances. All the top scientists and best engineers had exhausted every possibility in their attempts to revive it, leaving the company with mounting financial losses and a critical reputation on the line. Sterling, frustrated by repeated failures, decided that an outside-the-box solution was needed, one that disregarded established protocols and defied the norms of the industry. With a flash of daring inspiration and perhaps a trace of desperation, he turned to an unconventional source. He summoned Leroy, the humble janitor, and by extension, his brilliant daughter, Keisha. The call to the chamber where Sterling oversaw all operations was unexpected and sent a ripple of shock through the corridors of power. Leroy, with deep lines of hardship marking his face, had never before been recognized outside his modest role. Sterling's veneer of cold authority was suddenly pierced by an odd request. "Bring your daughter," he ordered in a clipped voice that brooked no debate. In that charged moment, the collision between two worlds was set into motion. A world of privilege and one of overlooked talent, each with a secret that could ultimately change destiny. In the silence that followed, Leroy and Keisha exchanged glances filled with quiet determination and trepidation. Keisha's mind raced ahead of her steps as she left home that evening. The short walk from the modest apartment block to the industrial compound was a journey filled with reflective thoughts about the unpredictable twists life could conjure. She had always known that her way with machines set her apart from the expectations of those around her, yet it had never led to recognition. The idea that the greatest mind behind the company might see fit, or be desperate enough, to rely upon her aptitude gave her a mix of pride and anxiety. When she stepped into the towering edifice of Alaris Industries, a newfound sense of anticipation electrified the corridors she trod. The world around her was a jumble of fluorescent lights, cold steel and clattering machinery, a stark contrast to the warmth of her small community. In those sterile halls, where every polished surface seemed to whisper promises of unyielding focus, Keisha was both an outsider and an unexpected contender. The meeting with Mr. Sterling was as unnerving as it was surreal. Sitting across a grand mahogany desk in a room that overlooked the heartbeat of the factory floor, Keisha found herself dwarfed by the opulence surrounding her. Sterling's eyes, as piercing as shards of ice under the gleam of high noon, fixed upon her with an intensity that was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. "Miss Johnson," he began, using the formal version of her surname, a reminder of the roles the world had assigned her. "I have a challenge that defies conventional solutions. Our latest prototype engine, meant to revolutionize our entire line of production, has been rendered inoperative. The engineers insist nothing short of a miracle can fix this. I'm daring you to try. Show us an alternative perspective." His tone brooked no hesitation. Instead of feeling insulted, Keisha's heart pounded with the thrill of possibility. The silence in the room was heavy with unspoken admiration for someone so young, yet possessed of a rare brilliance that had been kept hidden beneath a veil of societal limitations. Reluctantly, and with a spark of defiant hope, she accepted the dare. In that moment, the seed of a transformative journey was planted, a path riddled with peril and discovery, where every gear, bolt, and anomaly of the engine would whisper secrets of a long-forgotten legacy. The stage was set for an exploration that would not only examine the innermost workings of the mechanical beast, but also shine a light on the ingenuity that could flourish where despair resided. Keisha's first encounter with the engine was a mixture of trepidation and intense wonder. It loomed in a cavernous hangar, a mammoth construct intricately assembled from countless components that defied easy understanding. Its metallic surface, slick and cold under the dim glow of overhead lamps, bore the scars of relentless trials and repeated attempts at fixing the impossible. As she circled it with the meticulous precision of someone used to studying hidden intricacies, Keisha felt the weight of a legacy, and a challenge, imprinted in every rivet. The engine's design was deliberately enigmatic, a blend of innovative modernity and archaic technology hinting at secret methodologies and undisclosed inspirations. In the soft hum of machinery and distant echoes of other laborers, she sensed that the engine was more than it seemed, a machine concealing mysteries that, if unearthed, might rewrite the industry's history. The following days became a study in contrasts. Long hours of solitary investigation in the darkness beneath the factory roof, punctuated by fleeting moments of camaraderie with those who'd never imagined themselves as part of the company's technological heartbeat. Each evening, with a small lamp by her side and blueprints scattered around, Keisha meticulously documented every anomaly she observed. She began by systematically dismantling segments of the engine, treating each component not as a disposable piece of machinery, but as an integral part of a grander narrative. There was a time-worn copper plate, etched with undecipherable symbols that seemed otherworldly in their complexity, and tiny gears that appeared to operate on principles entirely foreign to modern engineering. Every discovery deepened the mystery. She found evidence of modifications that were not part of any documented design, a hidden network of circuits and mechanical contraptions, integrated seamlessly into an older, almost mystical framework. Word of her relentless progress soon reached beyond the hushed corridors where she labored. Whispers spread among the workers, the engineers, and even those in the higher echelons of the company. A janitor's daughter was now the unwitting star of a corporate enigma, her findings a contagion of hope that defied the cold calculations of profit margins and corporate projections. Every revelation propelled new curiosity. What did these enigmatic modifications mean? Who had designed them, and for what purpose? Some speculated that perhaps the engine was more than just the product of modern innovation. Others believed it to be a reincarnation of forgotten technology, a relic of a time when mechanical ingenuity was still infused with the wonder of possibility. Mr. Sterling, caught between skepticism and an ever-growing hope in this unexpected gambit, monitored her progress closely. Initially dismissive, his interest gradually shifted into a grudging admiration, as Keisha's insights began to rewrite the prescribed narratives offered by his top engineers. He privately recalled his own early days, a time when brilliance had not yet bowed to the weight of convention, and wondered if perhaps this young woman might be the spark needed to fling open the doors to a new era of technology. In clandestine meetings behind heavy metal doors and whispered phone calls in midnight corridors, Sterling's inner circle began to acknowledge that the janitor's daughter was not an aberration but a force of nature, one that might very well hold the key to revitalizing not just an engine, but the future of the company itself. Amid this metamorphosis, Keisha began to notice something peculiar about the engine's behavior, a pattern of rhythmic pulses and subtle vibrations that defied logical explanation. Late one stormy night, as she remained hunched over her workbench in the quiet recesses of the machine bay, her analytical mind made a startling connection. The engine, she deduced, was not simply malfunctioning, it was attempting to communicate. The unusual vibrations and energy discharges were, in essence, a form of language, a binary code woven into mechanical existence. With trembling determination, she began to decode these signals, mapping them against the obscure symbols etched onto that ancient copper plate she had discovered earlier. What emerged was a revelation that would shock everyone. The engine was not a product of human engineering alone, but rather the culmination of an almost symbiotic union between advanced technology and lost, mystical knowledges passed down through generations. As weeks turned to months, Keisha's relentless pursuit uncovered a hidden chapter of technological evolution. Within the intricate network of gears and pulsing circuits lay embedded the legacy of a forgotten society, one that had mastered the art of blending science with what some might consider the arcane. Her research revealed that the engine's design was inspired by principles that transcended conventional mechanics, merging quantum theories with old-world mysticism in a fusion that defied logic, yet resonated with a profound sense of purpose. The implications were staggering. Not only did this technology have the potential to revolutionize industrial production, but it could also pave the path for sustainable innovations that reached far beyond the realms of Alaris Industries. With every new insight, the story of the engine became intertwined with the story of humanity itself, a tale of rediscovered knowledge and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of impossible odds. The moment of revelation arrived during a crowded demonstration in the main auditorium of Alaris Industries. The gathering buzzed with anticipation as industry leaders, shareholders, and curious engineers filled the seats. Suspended in the spotlight at the center of the stage, the engine now radiated a subtle, pulsating glow, a beacon of mystery waiting to be unraveled before an audience that had come to witness the culmination of months of desperate trial and error. Mr. Sterling, standing alongside Keisha, wore an expression that mingled solemn pride and incredulity. The silence in the room was palpable as Keisha stepped forward, her eyes alight not with the arrogance of a prodigy, but with the quiet determination of someone who had wrestled with the unknown and emerged victorious. Drawing a deep breath, she began to explain her findings in clear, measured tones. She detailed the engine's hidden communications, the encoded messages of ancient knowledge, and the startling realization that its malfunction had been nothing more than an elaborate call for assistance, a desperate plea for someone to restore it to its full potential. The audience listened in stunned silence as she unraveled the narrative, connecting the dots between the arcane symbols, the rhythmic energy pulses, and the clandestine design modifications that had been covertly built into the machine. By the time she concluded, the assembled crowd was on its feet, electrified by the possibility that technology could carry the weight of human history and wisdom, bridging the gap between what was considered possible and the extraordinary. In the days that followed, Alaris Industries transformed into a crucible of innovation. Engineers from across the globe converged on the research center, eager to learn from Keisha's groundbreaking discoveries. Her work, once ridiculed and dismissed by those who had snubbed her humble origins, became the guiding light for a new wave of interdisciplinary research that fused modern engineering with forgotten wisdom. Mr. Sterling, now a fervent advocate for this revolutionary approach, restructured the company's research program to focus on uncovering the potential of hidden knowledge systems. The janitor's daughter, whose natural talent had defied expectations and shattered preconceptions, emerged as a symbol of hope for countless individuals who had long been sidelined by the rigid norms of their societal roles. Yet beneath the triumphant parade of success stories and renewed prosperity, a darker undercurrent began to surface. Whispers in the corridors hinted at a force far more enigmatic than the benevolent reclamation of lost technology, a power that had, for generations, been deliberately suppressed by those who feared the democratizing effects of such knowledge. As Keisha delved ever deeper into the engine's origins and theoretical underpinnings, she uncovered cryptic references to an ancient covenant, a secret society that had guarded these principles with a zealous fervor. This group, it seemed, had orchestrated a subtle resistance to the spread of innovation that threatened to upend established power structures. Their message was clear: some knowledge was too dangerous to be freely shared. For Keisha, this revelation posed a profound ethical and personal dilemma. Could the full truth of these long-forgotten doctrines, and the potent, almost mystical power they contained, be unleashed without unleashing chaos upon an unprepared world? The internal conflict that raged within her was as tumultuous as the storms that battered the factory walls during the late-night research sessions. She found herself at a crossroads between the undeniable desire to harness this technology for the betterment of humanity and the grave responsibility that came with such a choice. The conflict reached its zenith when she discovered encrypted files within the engine's network, files that contained instructions so intricately detailed and potent that they hinted at capabilities far beyond conventional engineering. The files contained warnings of destabilizing currents, quantum reactions that could upset the balance of nature, and energy manipulations that bordered on the miraculous. Confiding in a trusted colleague, Dr. Mendez, a soft-spoken engineer who had nurtured a quiet rebellion against the rigid doctrines of conventional science, Keisha began grappling with the potential ramifications. Together, they pored over every detail of the ancient manuals and contemporary schematics, searching for a path that would allow them to unlock the engine's full potential without endangering lives or unleashing forces that no one could control. In those sleepless nights filled with anxiety and caffeine, the researcher in Keisha awoke as powerfully as the visionary she always aspired to be. Every nuance, every coded instruction was meticulously cataloged in what became known simply as the ledger. It was a document destined to become a manifesto of a new age. A manifesto that could either propel society into a renaissance of knowledge, or plunge humanity into an era of inconceivable chaos. Time marched on, and the anniversary of the engine's reinvigoration arrived like a heartbeat, marking the dawn of a new era. During a meticulously orchestrated presentation to both corporate magnates and scientific luminaries, Keisha revealed an innovative integration plan. She proposed a layered system of control that would allow the engine to operate under the strictest safeguards, employing both advanced algorithms and time-tested fail-safes inspired by the ancient protocols. As she explained the design, the audience was engulfed by a sense of wonder and cautious optimism. The plan promised not only to restore the engine's lost brilliance, but also to harness its latent potential in ways that could redefine sustainable energy and production. In that moment, under the penetrating gaze of skeptics and supporters alike, the janitor's daughter became the architect of hope, one who had navigated the treacherous labyrinth of knowledge to unveil a blueprint for a better future. However, the unveiling was not without its challenges. A faction within the company, deeply invested in maintaining the old guard of corporate control, began to mount subtle resistance. Executives who had once scoffed at the idea of combining arcane wisdom with technological innovation now found themselves caught in a web of political intrigue. Rumors of sabotage and dissent swirled through the polished corridors, fueled by the fear that such radical openness would upend the delicate balance of power within the company. Sterling, now fervently supportive of Keisha's approach, found himself embroiled in corporate battles that tested the very limits of his authority. Yet even as tensions mounted, the extraordinary success of the engine's initial trials silenced many critics. The demonstration of its newfound capabilities, increased efficiency, reduced emissions, and a harmonious resonance with natural energy flows, was a triumph that could not be easily dismissed as a mere anomaly. The months that followed were a whirlwind of rapid development and cautious experimentation. The engine became the centerpiece of a global initiative, attracting international partnerships and igniting the imaginations of scientists, engineers, and dreamers alike. Keisha balanced her time between orchestrating breakthrough experiments in the research lab and engaging in a profound internal journey. The more she delved into the ancient manuals, the clearer it became that the engine was not simply a feat of engineering. It was a living repository of forgotten wisdom, a living testament to the possibility that even in the most mechanistic of worlds, there pulsed a spark of magic and human ingenuity. In intimate discussions with her father, who had silently watched her transformation from a quiet, observant child to a visionary leader, Keisha found solace and strength. Leroy's words, spoken in his gentle, measured tone, were simple yet profound. Sometimes, the things that seem impossible are the ones meant for those brave enough to dream. At the heart of this journey lay a tension between the known and the unknown. Keisha's discoveries had begun to unravel the fabric of accepted reality, and as she persisted, the world around her responded with both wonder and trepidation. The engine, now affectionately dubbed the Heart of Alaris, grew into a symbol of the company's future, a future forged not only by technological might, but also by the unyielding courage of those who dared to follow unusual paths. Yet all was not smooth in the realm of innovation. As external pressures mounted, ethical dilemmas reared their heads in unexpected ways. A mysterious group of dissenters, whose identities remained cloaked behind pseudonyms in encrypted online forums, branded the integration of ancient wisdom with modern technology as sacrilege. They argued that reviving such potent secrets risked tampering with forces that nature had long since laid to rest. Their rhetoric, though shadowed and conspiratorial, began to find traction among a small subset of the public, who feared the disruption of long-held societal orders. With each passing day, as her workload grew heavier and the responsibility more challenging, Keisha found herself questioning the fine line between progress and peril. Was it possible to embrace such a revolutionary technology without compromising the delicate balance between human ingenuity and nature's unchecked power? In conversations with Dr. Mendez and trusted members of her fledgling team, she began to explore frameworks for ethical oversight, a charter that would ensure the new technology was governed by principles of transparency, accountability, and respect for both tradition and progress. These debates often ran late into the night, carried beneath the hum of computer fans and the soft murmur of vigilance in the clearing of classified documents. In these moments of vulnerable truth, the resistance within her softened yet never disappeared. It was the constant reminder that every great idea carried within it the seeds of potential destruction if wielded without care. As the world outside grew more curious, governments and regulatory bodies began to take an interested, if cautious, tone toward Alaris Industries' unexpected breakthrough. International symposiums were convened, scientific committees assembled, and public debates turned kinetic with excitement and fear in equal measure. News outlets around the globe heralded the janitor's daughter as a prodigy, a once overlooked genius who had risen from the margins to reshape the landscape of modern innovation. In these public forums, Keisha used every opportunity to articulate her vision of a future where ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology could coexist in harmony. Her speeches were filled with evocative imagery of a world built on the pillars of understanding and compassion. A world where progress was measured not merely by profit margins and efficiency charts, but by the preservation and enrichment of life itself. The next pivotal moment came on a crisp autumn day when the engine was scheduled for its most ambitious test, a demonstration of full-spectrum capability, integrating renewable energy inputs with adaptive performance measures that would dynamically adjust to environmental feedback. As dusk settled over the sprawling campus, a crowd of hundreds gathered externally and internally via live broadcasts, their eyes fixed on the Heart of Alaris. The moment was charged with both hope and uncertainty, for if the engine performed even half as wondrously as predicted, it would herald an era of unprecedented transformation. With ceremonial reverence, Keisha initiated the sequence. The engine responded, its inner workings springing to life in a mesmerizing ballet of mechanical precision and rhythmic luminescence. Almost immediately, energy readings soared and then stabilized, each pulse a confirmation that the subtle dance between ancient wisdom and modern science had been successfully choreographed. Gasps of awe erupted from the audience as monitors displayed energy outputs that exceeded theoretical maxima with breathtaking grace. In that climactic moment, the full impact of Keisha's journey was evident. Here was a machine engineered, not just by human hands, but by a soul who had dared to reach beyond preconceptions, combining the rigor of science with the soulful cadence of forgotten lore. The audience's applause reverberated through the cavernous space like a promise of new beginnings, shaking off the shadow of doubt that had once cloaked the entire project. For Keisha, it was a personal vindication, a gentle nod from the universe that every step taken on this uncertain path had been worthwhile. In that resounding moment of triumph, the line between the possible and the impossible blurred, and for a brief shining instant, the world glimpsed the incredible synergy that occurs when passion, intelligence, and ancient mystery converge. As the months turned into years, the impact of that fateful demonstration echoed throughout the corridors of industry and academia alike. Alaris Industries emerged not merely as a corporation but as a beacon for a movement dedicated to the reconciliation of seemingly disparate realms of thought. Keisha, once relegated to the shadows of an overlooked existence, now served as a mentor and inspiration to a generation of innovators who believed that conventional boundaries were created to be broken. Internship programs, research grants, and collaborative initiatives flourished under the new regime, where ideas were judged not by pedigree or legacy, but by their intrinsic brilliance and capacity to better society. Yet even amid success, challenges persisted. The mysterious faction that had once threatened to subvert the integration of ancient wisdom with modern mechanics continued to operate from the fringes of the industry. Their clandestine operations drove secret investigations and instigated occasional sabotage attempts designed to sow discord in Alaris Industries' transformative efforts. Keisha, with her trademark resilience, navigated these turbulent waters through open dialogue, robust community engagement, and a commitment to transparency that eventually eased the brewing tensions. It was a stark reminder that progress often carried with it inheritable risks, that each breakthrough could rip open the seams of an established order, forcing those who wielded innovation to shoulder responsibility, not just for profit, but for the collective future of humanity. In private moments of reflection, Keisha would often return to the quiet corners of the facility where she had first encountered the engine. There, away from the clamor of celebration and the pressures of corporate strategy, she allowed herself to simply be, an inquisitive soul drawn to the mysteries of life, ever mindful of the delicate interplay between light and shadow, progress and restraint. She marveled at the serendipity that a janitor's daughter, nurtured in modest circumstances and armed only with determination and a razor-sharp intellect, could one day hold the reins of a transformative technology that touched the lives of millions. In those silent hours, the journey came full circle, a testament to the unyielding power of belief in one's abilities and the enduring possibility that greatness can rise from the most unexpected places. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon on a crisp winter evening, casting long shadows over the institute that had become her second home, Keisha gazed out at the sprawling landscape that symbolized the convergence of old and new. The machine that had once been dubbed impossible now hummed steadily, a living reflection of her own metamorphosis and the boundless potential of a future where the lessons of the past shaped the innovations of tomorrow. In that enduring harmony between ancient mystery and modern ambition, she found not only the answer to the engine's enigma, but also the keys to a world in which every person, regardless of background, had the power to redefine what was considered possible. In the annals of Alaris Industries, the saga of the impossible engine became more than a tale of corporate ingenuity. It was immortalized as a narrative of human resilience, of the quiet triumphs that ripple outward to inspire change across continents and generations. And in the legacy of a once invisible janitor's daughter, the world came to understand that miracles are often forged not in towering laboratories or boardrooms, but in the humble persistence of a curious heart willing to defy the boundaries of the known. For beneath the clamor of gears and circuits lay the uncharted landscape of possibility, a landscape where dreams, determination, and the legacy of ages past converged to produce wonders that outshone even the most dazzling array of modern invention. Thus, as the dusk of one era gave way to the illuminated promise of another, every whispered legend about the engine's impossible challenge, every shake of the hand and nod of silent respect among those who had been touched by its profound secrets, bore testimony to one irrefutable truth, that brilliance can reside in the most unlikely of places. The janitor's daughter had dared to listen when the machine spoke in forgotten tongues, and in doing so, had unlocked a future where the extraordinary was no longer confined to the realm of dreams, but had irrevocably reshaped the destiny of an industry, a community, and the entire world. For generations to come, people would look back at that incredible period, a time when an unconventional challenge met a steadfast spirit, and when a young woman from obscurity illuminated the path forward with a light that could never be dimmed. And in every workshop, every laboratory, and every corner where a spark of innovation was kindled in defiance of convention, the echo of Keisha's legacy resounded with the timeless reminder that the impossible is only a challenge waiting to be redefined by those brave enough to dare.